Archer is the irresistibly awesome animated series based off the 1960s rendition of The Super Spy. The show draws many influences from the spy genre, but the roots go deeper than just fiction, throwing back to a golden age of espionage during the Cold War era. Fancy gadgets, double agents, and Russian villains are all based off of real-life history and propaganda that have clearly echoed throughout the series. Let's go way back in the court of source. The concept for Archer was originally pitched by producer Adam Reed. Reed had gained notoriety in the community by helming two previously notable shows, C-Lab 2021 and Frisky Dingo.
Went a little off the page with that last line there.
No,
Is
that's
that
great.
cool?
Yeah,
Yes,
manhandle.
Both of the shows were aimed at the late night crowd, demonstrating awfully similar art styles and a sense of humor that would often be referenced in his future work. Reed reportedly came up with the concept for Archer while vacationing in Spain. Unable to approach a beautiful woman at a cafe, he conjured up the idea of a super spy who would have the perfect line to approach her with, a thought that at its core was inspired by 1960s espionage. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were constantly preparing to fight each other. Intelligence gathering was of paramount importance, with the CIA and KGB regularly recruiting new spies and using advanced tools to achieve their adversarial objectives.
It's the Omicron Spy Master, which is why it's got knockout gas and a garrote, and I think even a laser.
Spying often required taking on new identities and infiltrating deep into enemy territory. They had to be fearless, determined, and well-trained in order to survive. Over the years, many books, movies, and TV shows would be influenced by these events. James Bond, written by Ian Fleming, was the most notable, which was then turned into a series of films.
Bond. James Bond.
Followed by The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The $6 Million Man, and Get Smart. Instead of having superpowers, they dressed sharp, had fancy gadgets, courted foreign agents, and became a reflection of the covert war against communism. Reed went on to pitch his idea for a super spy show combined with his comedy roots to FX. They loved the concept and granted him the go-ahead to create a pilot and a handful of follow-up episodes. The pilot they created ended up being a perfect snapshot of the Cold War espionage battles of the past. It included a Russian as the main villain in the form of a double agent.
My real name is Kremensky.
Is that Jewish?
It's Russian.
Forbidden love with the enemy, advanced spy tools, and a perfect 1960s setting defined by that era. These themes would continue to perpetuate throughout most of the series in many different forms. It even extends to the Bob's Burgers crossover episode, which was a special treat for fans since H. John Benjamin voices both Bob and Archer.
Why the hell are Russians trying to kill you?
I don't know. He called me Archer. Maybe they think I'm somebody else.
Although clearly influenced by the Cold War, the show doesn't actually take place in the 60s, especially since recent seasons have sidestepped to reflect other eras, which further lends to the theory that the characters don't actually know what year it is.
My God, what year is this?
I know, right?
The characters often make modern pop culture references.
Hey, will I get to learn karate?
Karate, the Dane Cook of martial arts.
The concept of Archer existing in an alternate universe has arisen, but Reed claims this isn't quite the case. He prefers that the Archerverse simply be considered time ambiguous, which is required for a Soviet-era spy to exist in. With the introduction of GPS satellites, smartphones, and all things technology, the modern spy is often now relegated to sitting behind a computer screen, which translated to Archer would be a totally different show. As an aside, I think it's important to address the humor aspect of Archer. Reed has described the show as James Bond meets Arrested Development. The sense of humor, family squabbling, familiar cast in both real life and animated appearances cites heavily from the Bluth family. Although Archer has evolved over time, his origin is deeply influenced by the Cold War, coming a long way from a simple idea posed in a Spanish cafe. The show has eventually become one of the greatest tributes to the final era of true romanticized espionage.
Danger zone.
Thanks guys for tuning in again with the Court of Source. If you haven't seen our Bob's Burgers episode on how the show was originally supposed to be very dark, click on the link over here. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, and go ahead and make a suggestion if you'd like for a future episode. Take care, and as always, we'll see you in court.